Hello and welcome to those of you who are showing up early. We appreciate it. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to join us. We will be getting started pretty soon here at 11. We're going to start a quick little poll so we can kind of get a sense for where you guys stand with NetSuite and reporting. And then after that, we will start the presentation. But we appreciate your patience right now, and we'll get this thing rolling at the top of the hour. Thanks. Okay, as we have some more people filtering in, I'm going to send out a quick couple of questions for a poll. If you guys don't mind giving us some feedback, it would be great so we can make sure we get the right information your way. So first poll is up, and we'll give you guys a couple seconds here to answer this. And as people arrive, we'll just keep this going, and then in a couple of minutes we'll start the actual webinar. Right. So I'm gonna leave this up for another 10 seconds. All right, thank you for those of you responding, appreciate it. So I'm gonna close this, and let's do another one real quick. Are you happy with your current data platform, customizations, and reporting capabilities?
You can say yes even if you are generally happy.
We actually got a pretty even split between yes and no right now, and then quite a few people saying open to change, so that's good to know. And we got 5 more seconds here. Thank you again for everybody responding to this. I'm gonna close up this guy. All right, now we got 2 more polls, so bear with us. Next one is, how often do you face problems with your data platform when handling numerous transaction rows? So there's a lot of people handling a lot of transactions out there, and we've run into quite a few of them who face these problems. Let's see here. Looks like we're getting a pretty even split between 50% of the time and 30% of the time.
Those are easier options to choose.
Yeah. Well, if you're having troubles more than 70% of the time, that's rough business. All right. And I'm gonna close this one up. We got one more poll coming your way. And I'll launch it right now. How is your current financial and sales data reporting carried out? Legacy systems, manually done, or is there an actual automated pre-built system that you're using currently? Okay, so it looks like manually is a big time front runner here.
Okay, I hope you don't have any more polls because people are starting to wonder whether it's a webinar or polling.
That's it for our webinar. We are going to be closing. No. All right, I'm going to close this poll up, and thank you again for everybody for your responses. That helps us out a lot, so we can really kind of tailor the information your way. Again, thank you everybody for joining us today to kind of take a look at reporting through NetSuite and Power BI. So we'll just get this thing rolling and kick it off. Again, welcome. My name is Nick. I am a bold enthusiast here at AlphaBOLD, and I have 10 years of customer-focused account management, and I just love seeing new technologies and how they're being offered in today's ever-changing climate. And today we're joined by Tayyab Ali, who is our VP of Consulting here at AlphaBOLD. He is also a bold enthusiast and has 15 years of experience in consulting for cloud systems and implementations, and specializes in business management and digital transformations. So for today, what we're going to be kind of going over is why data analytics is so important, some of the out-of-the-box functions like Suite Analytics and Suite Analytics workbooks in NetSuite, Then we're going to jump into why we would actually use Power BI with NetSuite, given that NetSuite already has a reporting function. After that, we'll show you some examples of the dashboards that can be created using Power BI, and then we'll stop for some Q&A. And as questions come up, please feel free to enter them in the questions box on the side there, as I'm going to be monitoring them and we can answer those as we go. So let's take a look at how some data is being used and or not being used by some small to medium-sized businesses. The first stat you're going to see there is that only 23% of small to medium-sized businesses are using data analytics, which means a huge chunk are staying in the dark with what's happening with their day-to-day business. And for those that do look at their data, 65% of the companies are using spreadsheets to do so. This makes it extremely difficult to maintain, to update regularly, to share and collaborate, as well as to scale with your company's growth. And one thing I really want to highlight from this slide is that last number. Based on the study done by Deloitte, companies who invest in data analytics tools end up growing 4 times faster than companies not investing in their data analytics. That's huge. So let's move on to that next slide. So based on the potential growth that we just saw, why wouldn't companies want to invest? Well, 39% of companies are just unfamiliar with BI technology, and 30% of companies think that it's too expensive and it's kind of an overhead. Even though companies who do use data analytics saw 3 times more sales and exports of their services or products from the prior year. So throughout this webinar, we will show you that BI is nothing to shy away from. It can easily be adopted, and that data analytics should be an integral part of each of your organizations. And this is where I'm going to hand it off to Tayyab. Tayyab, go for it.
Thank you so much, Nick. Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are having a good day. And if you're not, hopefully it will be better after this. And if not, then you can probably try a recording. Anyway, so first thing I want to start with is I hope you took away from Nick's presentation that it's important to build data culture in your organizations. You're just talking about 4 times more growth. So that's a small number there to help you get motivated about that. But what I'm going to focus mostly on for the rest of this webinar is to share with you why it's no more difficult to embrace data analytics as a strategy. There are lots of technology advancements and tools that are available that take away the barriers that Nick highlighted. So I'll talk about those. Obviously, we'll be talking about Power BI in more detail as well. But I want you to leave after this webinar with probably a firmer belief that your organization can embrace data analytics and also can benefit hugely from it. And I'll also probably leave you with a lot of demonstration and examples that will showcase the value of that and how easy it is to embrace that. So we are going to start with Suite Analytics. As you probably already know, it is the out-of-the-box NetSuite module that allows you to query, report, present via dashboards, and act on data in real time. It is easy to use, so it's built as more of a self-service BI, which means that your end users can use that and they can gain faster insights on real-time data within NetSuite without having to use any third-party tools or any external systems. Now, Suite Analytics is the module that has a lot of sub-modules that are part of that. So in this slide, what I want to showcase is I want to show you the capabilities that are designed to meet the needs of various use cases by providing out-of-the-box content that is available within NetSuite. Now, business users can view the reports and safe searches that have been there almost forever with NetSuite. And you can see on this slide from left to right, it's also showing you the minimal skill set required, and then it goes toward the advanced skill set. So obviously, some of these things you can do if you just are an inexperienced user of NetSuite. But for some of the deeper analytics, you need a little bit of advanced understanding of the data analytics. But reporting and safe searches, for example, and dashboards and KPIs, you can use even if you are an inexperienced user. Then a little bit about this workbooks and data sets. You would use them if you're looking to slice and dice the data to get detailed insights. I still feel that you do not have to be an advanced scaled analytics professional to be able to do that, but you need to have a little bit of an understanding of the object model of NetSuite, because you're essentially looking at viewing your data from multiple objects and joins and so on and so forth. And we'll cover that in a lot more detail. So I'll showcase to you what these workbooks and data sets include. Now, NetSuite is also offering some predictive analytics out of the box. So that is also available. And if none of this suffices, then obviously you have the option to use connectors, ODBC, JDBC. You can pull data from NetSuite, or now you can use the REST API from NetSuite, and then you can harness that data and leverage that in conjunction with the other platforms that you have. So building on Suite Analytics, again, it is means to eliminate barrier to entry. You can see there are 300 plus pre-built out of the box components that are shipped with NetSuite. So they are there for you to consume. And all of these components, they are device agnostic, which means that they do not only work on your desktops and your laptops, but they also work on your tablets and your mobile devices. So they're an effective way for you to get started with analyzing your data and looking at some of the trends. I'm going to spend more time and go a little deeper onto the workbooks. And the reason is that because we also leverage that towards the Power BI components that I will be demonstrating. So from the consumption standpoint, using the workbooks, you can consume data through tables, charts, pivot tables, and dashboards, some of the traditional means for you to consume data in the past. But what they have done is that these workbooks leverage a new user interface, a new analytics capability, which is designed so that even the inexperienced users, they could perform complex data analytics and tasks. It is also important for you to understand the data modeling capability, because I think that's the biggest piece of the workbooks. So what you have now with these data models is that you can create your data sets. Within those data sets, you can do multi-level joins. You have a very nice and easy to use query builder that allows you to just drag and drop your fields from your objects. And obviously it's secure and allows you to then analyze things in greater detail. So the two components that I want to dive a little deeper in today are the workbook pivots. I'm pretty sure that you're all familiar with pivot tables, especially if you have used Excel. Now, workbook pivots work very similar to how you would use them in traditional Excel. Just obviously now that you do not need to export your data in Excel and do all this, what you can do is that through the intuitive interface, you can drag and drop fields to handle large volumes of data in one single go. And you can create concise summary, expand them, summations, aggregations, and grouping, as you see in an example here. So for example, I'm looking at these assembly items and I'm grouping them by year and by quarter in here. And this can all be done within the NetSuite interface out of the box. You don't need any custom add-in for this. Charts are just kind of building upon this. Once you have your data sets and your workbooks can have pivots as well as they can have charts like you see in here, and charts allow you to do better visualization. And they also allow you to just drag drop fields from your data sets into the x-axis on the series, and you can in real time see the manifestation on the visual aspects as well, and you can change the graphs to just make more meaning of the data that you have, as well as you can apply filters onto those charts. So while all that is amazing, the problem is that we live in this age of data explosion, right? And the data that we are using, it's bound to grow. It's bound to grow within the confines of your ERP system. And it is also bound to grow outside your ERP, because you have so many different applications that you're using to process this data. Just to give you perspective on that, today in 2020, there is 45,000 exabyte of analyzable data that exists. And that is only going to grow from here. So I want to share some statistics with you here. So based on a study by IDC, 28% growth in analyzable data every year till 2025 is expected. So you need to have a more comprehensive data analytics strategy than just be able to build reports and dashboards in your ERP system. The other problem that it poses is that not all of your systems are cloud-based. So 80% of the organizations, they're committed to maintaining hybrid cloud architecture, which means that they will have on-prem systems and they will have cloud-based systems. And even on the cloud-based systems, 73% of the organizations that use SaaS today, they do not just have one application on SaaS, right? They would have multiple applications. They would have maybe a CRM system, which is SaaS-based. They would have an ERP system like NetSuite, which is SaaS-based. And they have so many other applications which are producing this data. So it's very important to understand this data explosion, how your organization is going to deal with that. Now, some of it's a misnomer that only larger organizations produce large amounts of data. Based on our experience, what we see is that some of smaller businesses, just based on the nature of that business, they generate more data than some of the larger businesses that are out there. And just to share another stat with you, 67% of the organizations today, they already have prioritized data creation. And what I mean by that is that they already have tools and processes in place that are part of their data strategy to turn their internal data into insights by organizing them, by maintaining them, by refining them, by using these tools as well as the data processes that they have. This is not to scare anyone. My focus rather is to share with you the opportunity that it poses. So I'm going to share a few more statistics here, which are kind of easy to follow, but I think they are so tangible from the impact on the bottom line perspective that this case is fairly easy to make. So the first one is that according to a study by IDC, organizations that invested in data in last 4 years in analyzing relevant data and delivering actionable insights, they gained 430 billion in combined productivity benefits. Now, that's a huge number. Obviously, that's across all of those organizations, but it reflects the notion of investing in the data and what it can bring for your organization. Based on a study by Keystone, organizations that have embraced data, analytics, and cloud, they generate on average an extra 8% in operating income per year. That's what you see in here. And based on Gartner, you save 14% savings in CapEx and software costs by investing in your data. So I'm just wanted to give you this before I move on to our platform of choice for analyzing your data, which is Power BI. It's an easy choice. We do a lot of other tools as well, so not married to Power BI in any shape or form, but it is a market leader right now for modern BI platforms. It has its DNA, the goal of enabling everyone, and everyone can embrace it. It's nice and easy to use. And the biggest advantage of going with Power BI is that it allows you to pull in data from multiple sources. So you can pull in data from your cloud SaaS-based applications because it has a ton of these content packs that are available as well as connectors for these cloud-based applications. But through gateways, it also allows you to pull data from your on-prem databases. And it's not just an analytics tool. It works really well in conjunction with more bigger big data strategy that you might have for your organization where you have data warehouses. So you can either use it as a standalone application where you're just tapping into these cloud as well as on-prem databases, building your data models and aggregating that data that is coming in from different sources, or you can leverage it as a means to be your analytics layer on top of your data warehouse, where the data is being harnessed and Power BI is then being used to just analyze the trends and the analytics on top of that data. It does give you real-time dashboards and interactive reports. It does have a module for natural language querying, so you can ask Power BI as to how your actuals are against your budget for this month of the year, and it will show you a nice chart to showcase that. You won't have to type anything or filter anything or click on anything, and just processes natural language, and it can do that through Cortana. Or you can type in your natural language query, not knowing all the filters, what is our actual budget or actuals or the sales this month, and it is going to respond back to that too. It allows you to do custom visualization. So if you are someone like me, and you love your dashboards and you want them to be wicked cool, then Power BI is your go-to platform because you can have amazing visuals, and we'll showcase some of those to you, so I don't have to speak more on that. But then more importantly, you can publish this data in all these different formats. So you can publish it as a web application. It can be embedded into your website. There are different licensing models that are available to you. You have obviously everything that you build here is mobile compatible as well. You can serve it in Excel still, you can embed it, and all these options are available to you. And that's why we chose this Power BI, and we built the connector for Power BI to work with NetSuite. Now, considering that I started with Suite Analytics, why do you still need Power BI? So there's some of the reasons I already touched upon, but just to make quantify it even more for you, you can use Suite Analytics. You can do some data aggregation like I was showing you using Workbook Pivot. But when you start doing data aggregation, large amounts of data, then you're going to run into performance issues, not just for the reports that you're building, but also for the underlying platform that you have. So that's a factor to consider. You do not have all of your data in one system. So you need to be able to integrate with different sources. Yes, you can always integrate NetSuite and bring that data into NetSuite and then build upon that. But bringing in data into NetSuite, you do not have connectors for all of those applications because NetSuite is an ERP system at the end of the day, and it's not a data analytics tool. So that's one of the barriers that you have with it, that if you want to pull in data from different sources, you have to figure out a strategy for that. Large amounts of data. So as your data grows, these charts and reports that you have in ERP, and not just NetSuite, any ERP for that matter, it's not built to process large amounts of data. What you need is you need specialized tools to be able to handle those large amounts of data, and Power BI is one of them. I already talked about visualization options. There are pre-built thousands of connectors that are out there that your organization can use, so they don't have to build them from scratch. And last but not least, for some of the transactional systems, you don't want to build your reporting onto your transactional systems because you want to harness that data. You want to do data manipulations on that. And if you start doing all of that within your transactional systems, just like NetSuite or any other ERP for that matter, then again, you are going to affect the performance of your transaction systems. And one more reason for you to, especially if you're using NetSuite, for you to use Power BI is because Power BI license is $10 per user per month. So if you have users in your organization who would just be analyzing the data and they do not need to access data on the daily basis, or they do not need to be within NetSuite to be able to perform any transactions, you don't need to buy that $100 per user per month license for NetSuite. You can just buy a Power BI license and you can give them visibility into some of the trends and the reports that they want to have visibility into. All right, so how have we eliminated this barrier to using Power BI with NetSuite? We have built a connector. We have this bold suite initiative. We are building dashboards on top of NetSuite, and I'll be demonstrating some of those dashboards to you. But in order to build those dashboards, the first barrier was, okay, how do we pull that data? And you can use traditional ODBC connectors and then put that into the database. But we wanted to make it easier so that end users could do some of those analytics as well. And for that, our BI team have built this connector, which connects with NetSuite. It is REST API based, so it can then leverage all the REST endpoints and pull data from NetSuite directly within Power BI, and I'll demonstrate that to you. It uses OAuth 2.0, so it's 100% secure, uses the supported authentication model by NetSuite, and then it can fetch data from REST APIs and RESTlets. And we're going to talk more about that because this is a huge elimination of that barrier that you would have otherwise to use Power BI with NetSuite. And with that, some of the examples that I want to cover, I'll not talk a lot about these because I will be demonstrating these. But what we did as part of our Bold Suite initiative is we have built some of the reports, which we felt are very common, and lots of companies that we work with, they need these kind of reports. The first one is the commissions report. A lot of organizations that are selling products, they obviously need to incentivize their sales team with commissions. And usually at the end of the month, it's a process for the accounting and the sales to work together to figure out what the commission is and how it needs to be paid. And I'll show you how this report will help with that. Budget versus actual. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of you have seen out of the box budget versus actual report. For those of you who have not, I will show it to you today. But then you will be able to hopefully appreciate the difference between the capability and the ease of use, as well as the granularity that you can gain from Power BI versus what you have out of the box in NetSuite. And last but not least is our order management dashboard, which will give you a comprehensive look of all the orders that you have in your system. So with that, I'm going to go into a demo. Nick, do we have any questions so far?
Yeah, so a couple questions. One is, do we need multiple Power BI accounts per user viewing through integration?
No, you don't. So you need a Power BI license to be able to have access to those dashboards, but your Power BI can connect using a service account and pull that data.
Okay. And then one more question is in regards to Salesforce, which I think probably most people can kind of relate to, is do you have experience building Power BI dashboards with NetSuite and Salesforce data?
100%, not just with NetSuite and Salesforce, but we have a separate BI practice, and Power BI is just one of the tools that they use, and that's the team that had built this connector. But they can build dashboards on lots of ERP systems. They can build it on Salesforce, Dynamics, any other CRM system. So they just are experienced and focus on pulling that data and making sense of that data to be able to present it in dashboards and charts.
Okay. And then what type of other BI tool do you integrate with?
Other BI tools that we integrate with?
Yeah,
So we have experience, like I said, we can Cognos, Tableau, Domo. We can use a lot of those tools. But if you mean more from the backend standpoint, then we can pull in data from additional systems as well. But it's just a matter of choice. All of those tools are amazing, and they allow you to pull in data and analyze data in different ways. So we'll probably have to have a discussion and understand if you guys already have a tool that you're using. But our team can definitely leverage that as well.
Okay. And then another question is, Power BI can export the information to PowerPoint, or do we need to use Power BI to present the information directly to the audience?
So Power BI has many ways for you to present the information to the audience. You can present it as a PDF document. You can present it as, you can print those reports. And there are different ways. You can also export it into PowerPoint. But again, those are then static representations of the data. If you want people to be able to play with those dashboards, apply filters and stuff, then you would probably publish them and serve them via websites rather than through static content. But that's possible, definitely.
Okay. And then another question just came in is, which one is better for analysis, QClick Sense versus Power BI?
Power BI. That's the topic of our webinar. No, I mean, each one of them would have their own advantages and disadvantages. Probably you'll need the rest of our BI team to shine in on that. But for today, I'll say Power BI.
Okay, cool. So I think that wraps up the questions for right now. If more filter in, we'll answer those in just a few minutes.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to start with Suite Analytics. So here I am on our NetSuite instance. And I'm going to be very quick on this because I want to spend more time on our connector and showcase to you some of the dashboards that I was talking about. I'm excited about that. But here, just to cover everything in totality, there's a lot of analytics capability out of the box, just like I covered. So for example, here you can see I have one of the charts embedded into a dashboard. It's easy. You can just do it in almost a minute. You can have a chart, you can embed it in the out of the box dashboard, and you can get this kind of a representation of your data, right? And then going into the analytics, that's where you have the workbooks and the data sets that we were talking about. So this is important because what we do is you can create these workbooks within NetSuite, and then you can generate a REST endpoint. When I say generate, you have to manually create that, but it is available as a resource. So for example, if I click on this sample workbook, you will see this is my workbook number 17. So it is REST-based, which means it is available as a resource. So then you can manipulate this URL, and I'll not cover that today, but it's easy. You have the service endpoint, you can embed this workbook name in there, and you can just pull this data from this workbook through that REST endpoint. And that's how we pull data for most of our Power BI reports. But out of the box here, you can see that I have a pivot table here, I have a normal table here and a chart, and in this pivot, you can see I have items and I have grouping by customer, and I'm looking at total amounts by items and count of each item by customer as well. So this is, again, easy to do. It's just simple drag and drop. I can drag it out, I can drag it back in, put in customers into the columns, and so on and so forth. Then I have simple representation in tables. Again, very simple, easy to do. I can just drag more columns and add to it. And all of this then can be available to me as a REST endpoint. And then, like I was sharing with you earlier, you also have that chart-based representation. This is just an example that I quickly put together for this webinar, just to show you that there's a lot that is available out of the box for you to leverage. Now, if I go back to the analytics layer here, you will see that there are workbooks that are prefixed with AB. These are the ones that we are using primarily for our Power BI dashboards. So data is being pulled from NetSuite. It is arranged and organized in terms of the fields that we need in these workbooks. And then we just use the REST endpoint for that workbook and bring that data into Power BI for our analytics. So let's get started with our Power BI piece. I think we're doing good on time here at 11:30. So I've just opened up Power BI Desktop. So what you do is you need the Power BI Desktop to be able to build your dashboard, and then you can publish them. Before I start on building dashboards using the NetSuite REST API, obviously you would need our connector, and our connector is available as a MEZ file. So this is our connector, NS data connector, and you have to put it under the documents in Power BI Desktop in custom connectors folder for Power BI to be able to use that. Once you have done that, you will go in here and you will say get data, click on more, and it will show you a list of all the data connectors that are available within Power BI, and you will just type in NetSuite. And as you do that, this will give you the connector that we have built, which is NetSuite Data Connector by AlphaBOLD. It's the beta version, so you hit connect on that. And all right, so it's asking me for my REST endpoint. This is what I was telling you. The endpoint that I'm going to copy paste in here is for one of my workbooks. So I'm just going to paste it in here just to make sure I didn't miss the first. And I'm going to hit OK on this. And what it does, it now tries to connect with NetSuite through this REST endpoint. It is going to pull in all the data. And I have all these items that it has pulled. Just do a little bit of manipulation. I'm going to transform that into a table so I could see all of these columns. I'm just going to hit OK on this. And once I have this, I'm going to expand this, and I'm going to say use original column names as prefix. And with that, my data is here. So this is how we have eliminated this barrier to entry for you. It cannot be easier than this. You have your workbooks. Maybe you already have a lot of pre-built workbooks. And like I was sharing with you, as part of Suite Analytics, you already have a lot of pre-built workbooks. So you just need to pull in that data from those queries and do these 3 steps that I showed you, and your data is here. Now, after this, whatever you do with this data is like, you have endless possibilities here, up to your imagination, but you can just pull that in. And what you have to do as per the authentication auth 2.0, you have to first of all sign in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sign into my NetSuite system. So let's do that.
And Tayyab, while you're waiting on this, we did have a question come in. says, are you able to add and remove columns without having to edit the query on the Power BI side?
Yeah, absolutely. You can have multiple in your data model. You can have multiple columns that are added from other sources as well. So yeah, it's your own data model. You can add in additional stuff in there. You can where I did apply. You can do multiple things in there as well. Let me cancel out here.
Okay, and then one more while we wait for this is, does Power BI work with Box Tool or just SharePoint?
Does Power BI work with SharePoint? Absolutely, it works with SharePoint. What's the second part of this
The other one
question?
was Box Tool, BOX
Oh,
tool.
yeah. I'm not sure about that, so I'll have to get back to you on that piece.
Okay, we'll get back with the customer on that.
It's not sure what's going on here. Give me just 1 second. This is not liking it right now. I'm gonna just kill that and probably start this again. Give me 1 second. It's probably not able to connect with my NetSuite for some reason, but let's see.
This is your standard demo, people, just how it goes.
Yeah, you can say that now.
And then we did have someone ask kind of what makes AlphaBOLD more qualified for this type of stuff. And I mean, just based because we're a gold partner with Microsoft and a NetSuite partner, so we really have some expertise in both realms, and that's kind of why we were able to step in and create this Bold Suite analytics tool.
Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the dashboards that I talked about with you earlier on, and I'm going to start with the commissions report. So these are the dashboards that are built using our custom connector within a Power BI desktop, and they're published as an app. So what Power BI allows you to do is to create your dashboard, and once you have created them, you can publish them in multiple ways, like I shared with you in the slides. But what I'm going to do here is I have this app, and you can see within this app, I have 3 reports, the ones that I covered that I want to showcase for this demo. The first one is the commission, the budget versus action, and the order summary. And I'm going to show you. So this is, again, a very standard use case where you guys have your sales team and you want to build a mechanism for you to be able to quickly calculate their sales commissions. So you can see in here, if I don't have a filter on the sales rep, the total sales that we've had is around 1.43 million. The total amount that the organization will be paying in commission is almost 24,000. And then there's some supervisor commission based on how your commission model is structured. It is using the out-of-the-box structure within NetSuite for the structuring. So again, you're not building anything from the business logic outside. You're just leveraging what you have. So let's say if I want to go in here as the account rep and I want to say, okay, well, how much commission I need to pay to one of my sales rep, which is Ed, I go in here. And what I do is I just want to filter on Ed. So give me just 1 second here. Take this out. I say, show me for Ed only. And I filter it on Ed, and now it's just on a single click, it tells me that Ed has 5.5K. He did total sales of around 260K, and the supervisor commission is around 1.28K. So I have this information available to me. It is also something that you can share with your sales team, so they can also have access to it. And you can see in here that it gives them a perspective on a lot of details. So for example, here I have a chart that shows me my total sales versus my commission as to what percentage of my sales is turning into my commission. What are the customers and how I did against those customers? Again, another representation of the sales versus commission. Overall, you can see Ed has his own ups and downs throughout this. So he can analyze here as to why it didn't have a lot to do in around Q3, July 19th timeframe. And you can click on that again, and everything that you see is, you can drill down, you can filter by clicking on those. I can filter on this customer, and it will show me just the sales that Ed did with respect to this customer. So I can quickly go in to these details. But all of these dashboards that you see, you can also kind of have them zoom in, and then you can just analyze them in greater detail as well. One other thing that we have seen, which is important, is to have transparency. So as you are sending out the commission check to Ed, mostly what accounting teams like to do is they would like to also send them, okay, this is what it is made up of. So for example, if we say, Ed, you did 260K in sales, just to eliminate any responses or back and forth, you can export this data. So for example, if I just click on export data, I can export all the data that you have in an Excel, and I can attach it as an email attachment as I'm sending it out to them. So let me just quickly show you. So this is how this data comes out. And you can have detailed views as well that you can kind of export from here so that it's easier for you to have that communication with them. Now it's also amazing for Ed because he can come in and he can go, okay, I should probably be spending more time with Tabu associates in the future versus what he has been doing in the past. For example, if he comes in here, says, okay, I've done only this much sale with this customer, probably should be focused more on the others. Similarly, you can look at the timeline and analyze why he had the peak over here. And as soon as you click on that, it just changes the detailed data along with all the charts that you have in here. So this is just one of the reports that we have. You can obviously filter on the customer. You can also filter on the invoice numbers. The second one that I want to share with you today is our budget versus actual. Again, a very, very standard use case with NetSuite. Let me show you how this looks within NetSuite. So for example, this is how the budget versus actual looks out of the box in NetSuite. And again, we would use some sort of workbook for that. So what we did was we created a budget workbook, and then we pulled data from the transaction workbook. And instead of representing it this way, we took a different approach at it, and we kind of represented it in the way that you see in here. So if I go in here and let me start from, I can look at account types. I can go into expenses and cost of goods sold. It tells me a nice breakdown of this. Again, like I shared with you previously, I can look at it and go into greater details of all this data that is available. I can analyze these by looking at my budget versus actual. So you can see if I hover over it, it tells me the expense amount is around 530K for this 4110 sales account number. And I have the budgeted amount, which is 86.52% of this total that you see in here. As I scroll down on this, you will see that it is telling me on my overall income, my budget versus actual, or my cost of goods sold, it is telling me my budget versus actual. And just like I showed you before, so let's say if I say I'm only interested in analyzing my cost of goods sold, I can filter it down to cost of goods sold, and I can go in and I can say, okay, show me only where my expenses are. So you can see all of this expenses against this one account code that I have, 5010 cost of goods sold. So it's all coming in from there. I also click on it again. It should bring back to me all of my cost of goods sold. I can look at it by budgeted amount by trend over time. And all of this is configurable. So this is just what we have put together. I can again go into full screen mode, what we have put together just to showcase to you the capability where I can go in and I can select all of these account types. And it just gives me a more holistic overview. And you see how it changes and it brings in all of these details. Again, I don't have budgeted amounts in my data for all of these things, but this, again, just to give you a perspective on what Power BI has to offer here. One other cool feature that I want to share with you is, let's say if you have your filters. So for example, let's say I'm someone who was just interested in cost of goods sold. I create my filters and then I can create a bookmark. And I can add a personal bookmark. And as I save this, I can call it just COGS. Next time, I can mark it as my default and save this. As I come to this dashboard, it will just show me the filtered view that is relevant for me. So for example, when we build these comprehensive reports within Power BI, and as you guys use those comprehensive reports within Power BI, obviously different team members would like to use different capabilities. And all those different capabilities that you have, that you guys have, they can be bookmarked based on the user persona and as to what information they are most interested in. So all that can be done. Sorry about this. Remove this and take it out. All of that can be done in here. And last but not least is our order summary report. Let me just zoom in here onto this one as well. So in this order summary report, you can see we have this nice ticker. The idea of this is complete order book management. So let's say we want you to have complete visibility across all of your orders, how each product is doing, how different vendors are doing, how the sales reps are doing, how you're doing by item, by customer. This kind of summarizes all of that for you in this one dashboard that I'm showcasing to you right now. You see here, I have a ticker. It tells me about each product and how I'm doing, whether my sales is going up or down. I have my total sales by classes here. So I have the same over here, but I can click on any of these tiles. And as I do that, it just shows me all inventory turnover information for that, how many orders are on time versus delayed. Here I see, okay, for this one, I have 17 orders that were delayed. I can click on that, and it just tells me all the details of the sales order that I have that have been delayed. So I can kind of go in and I can analyze things and try to identify some of the gaps in my business fairly quickly here. I can look at this detail by vendor. I can look at the same detail by the sales rep as to how my sales team is doing. So Mike is our champion here. I can look at by item. I can look at them by customer. Here it is showing me a trend where I have quantity versus build. So you can see here I have some data anomaly where I don't have much quantity, or I have maybe something that I've sold for a huge price tag. And then obviously I have all the order details. I have my inventory tracker here. I have my inbound and outbound tracker in here as well. And again, I can go in and I can quickly analyze on-time orders versus late orders. So if I say, okay, I want to see all the orders that were not on time. So it tells me that I have these 24 orders. I can quickly see, okay, which vendors they are from. I can look at, okay, which actual items we are talking about here and how much they contributed. So it's just a nice and easy view. I can look at the inventory tracker in here as well. And that would give me obviously perspective on the inventory I have at hand and what is already built versus what I have remaining in here as well. Again, just like I shared with you for the previous report, you can create bookmarks based on your filters, and it will just save those filters for you and will allow you to be then able to start right from there. And you can obviously go in and out of these things as well. So with this, I want to hand it over to Nick. But before I do that, let me try opening up my connector one more time and see if I can connect with that. And if not, then I'll just give up on that for today at least. So give me just 1 second.
Well, while you're doing that, we did have another question come through.
Sure.
So they already have a data warehouse where we harness data from NetSuite and other applications. Can we leverage Power BI reports on an existing data warehouse?
100% you can. So if you have a data warehouse, we'll have to work with you and we'll have to analyze it. And then you can leverage Power BI on top of that as well.
Okay. And then someone said we already have Power BI, Tableau, Cognos, and Excel that is being used in their organization. They want to consolidate it into one platform. Is that something that we can do?
That's a great question. That's more of a data culture question. So you have so many different tools and platforms that you're using. I think what it comes down to is how you want to be able to service your end users with that data. And that requires a little bit of a discussion because all of those can be consolidated into one versus they can be used in conjunction as well. So that's more of a data culture for the company kind of a question that we can discuss.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log in here. I'm within my Power BI. This is where I think my system was halting before. I'm going to put this in and see if it goes through this time. So let's see. All right, perfect. So I'm going to just log in to this, and as I do that, you can see that now it says that I am connected. This is my Power BI window, and I'm going to hit connect here. Hopefully it will not just continue to spin again. All right, perfect. Lucky. Or not, maybe. Anyway. All right, so here, this is the query that I was showing you before. So I'm going to just do the same steps that I showcased to you. I'll just expand this and do my table query and apply and load this very, very quickly here. So I say close and apply. And as I do that, what it does is it just makes my query available to me. So I'm just going to pull it from the screen. Just give me 1 second here. All right. So once you have logged in, what will happen is that all your fields from your NetSuite will become available here. I wanted to just showcase to you how easy it is to build them once you have our connector. This will become available, so you just select your fields. So for example, this is my table view that comes in here. I say, okay, show me ID, show me this. I want to see the entity, I want to see the amount, and I want to see the account. So just like that, I have my data coming in from NetSuite and it is available to me here. I can go in and I can say add maybe a filter to it. So I put that in here. I'll just easily, I'll say I want to filter on just the IDs here. So I have this, don't want it to be a list. I want it to be a drop down. I can quickly do that. I don't like it here. I can, oops, not like that, but if I don't like it here, I can drag it and put it up here as well. I'm using a lot of space here. I can just quickly place it in here, and then I say, okay, this looks good. I have my filter available to me here. I can apply this, and again, now I have a working dashboard. But let's say I want more of a visual representation, so I can say, okay, I want to have, let's do a pie chart. So I put in pie chart. It gives me all the details of that. I want to use the amount field, let's say, for my values, and I want to have the ID as my details in here and legend. So there you go. I have now this, and it just gives me that same capability that I was showing you in our dashboard. So if I click on this 6596, it just filters it down to that. Now I can go in and I can just save it and publish it. And when I go to publish, I have multiple options there. So again, just to recap, using our data connector, I was able to pull in the data from the REST API. After that, I authenticated and it gave me this query that has all of my data columns from NetSuite, and now I'm able to visualize them quickly. I wanted to show this to you before I went on to that, but because of that glitch, I had to change the flow a little bit, but that's what I wanted to kind of cover. So with that, I'm going to hand it over back to you, Nick, for wrapping it up. So.
Okay, and we did have one more question come through, and it is, how can I download the Power BI connector for NetSuite?
Awesome. So as you saw, it's the beta version of our connector. So we haven't put it on our website for download, and we also plan on putting it on AppSource, which is the Power BI app source. But for now, you can reach out to us and we can have a conversation and we can set it up for you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for the demo, Tayyab. Really appreciate it. And hopefully for everybody else, we were able to showcase how using our Bold Suite connector can help you pull data from NetSuite and create some amazing dashboards and reports using the Bold Suite analytics. If you have any interest, let's talk. We can set up make sure it's a fit for your company, that is, and look at what your current dashboards and reports are, show you some more dashboards that may be more relevant to your business, and then in the end, determine if Bold Suite Connector can make a difference for your organization. So if you feel like taking that next step with Bold Suite Analytics, please connect with us after the webinar, and we can set up that connector for you and help you build out some awesome dashboards and reports. And for those of you asking questions throughout the webinar, thank you so much. We appreciate the questions and feedback. And if there was any that we weren't able to answer, I will connect with you after the webinar to make sure those get answered. So thanks again. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Have a good day.